These quilt blocks are painted. Stick around for a few minutes and I'll show you how I made them. Hi everyone, I'm Paula. Do you have a masterpiece in mind that you'd like to create? I hope that any inspiration and guidance that I show you today will help you along the way. If you like what you see, please hit that subscribe button below. Today I want to talk to you about how to paint a quilt block. Now, you could actually paint a quilt block that's like a little bit like a barn quilt, except for you're not doing this on wood or metal. You're actually painting this on a piece of fabric. You could create a retirement quilt gift and have everybody in the office fill out good wishes on a quilt block. Having a family reunion, I've got a great idea for you. You can create blank blocks with the event name and the date. Have everybody sign their own block that was there. You could have the kids decorate it, makes it extra special. You could create a very special birthday wishes quilt where everybody fills out a block with their best wishes. You could just create artistic blocks like this. Having a summer with the grandkids, they can make all kinds of blocks for you and you will have a precious, precious memory quilt. The creative options are endless. You just need to use your imagination. So some of the materials that you may need include some solid colored quilters cotton, something like this. This works out real nice. Or a very light print quilters cotton. This is really pretty. You might need a light box like this so you can trace line art, or you could just use a really bright window. You might possibly need an inkjet printer. I'll tell you all about that in a minute. You're definitely going to need some acrylic paint markers, or you could also just try some traditional acrylic paints if that's what you have. You're also going to need some Reynolds freezer paper. You'll need some squaring rulers. You'll need a pencil. You might need some fun line art like these. I got these off of ChatGPT. You'll also need something to cut your paper with. If you use a rotary cutter, make sure that it's the rotary cutter you do not use for your fabrics. And of course, you're going to need some imagination. Let's get started. Okay, so the first step that we're going to need to do to make these blocks is we need to first choose our design method. There's three different methods that I'm going to talk to you about today. The first method is basically doing it freehand. This could be used for anything that the kids want to draw, doodles. They could do trace their hands, their feet. You could probably even get a dog paw on here if you tried. Freehand is also used for any kind of message blocks, for birthday wishes, congratulations on your retirement, or even guest book blocks for certain events, weddings, family reunions, you name it. Freehand can also be done for any kind of an artistic block like you see here. Now the next design method I want to talk to you about is our light box. This can be used to trace any type of line art if that's what you'd like to do. It's very simple. The only tips that I would give you is to tape down your design and then tape your block onto that. That way nothing moves around as you're actually tracing your object. And the last method I want to talk to you about is actually printing out your line art right onto your fabric. It's actually the exact same method that we use to print out our quilt labels. You can find a link to that video up above. So once we've decided which design method we're going to use, next we need to prep all of our fabrics. No matter what design method you choose, you need to do the fabric prep the same for all three. What we need to do is we need to iron the wrong side of the fabric to a piece of Reynolds freezer paper. Now, there's a couple of reasons for this. Number one, it gives some body to your fabric. So as you're drawing, as you're tracing, as you're painting, that fabric won't move as much underneath that writing instrument. The second reason is this paper will protect your work surfaces a little bit better. It keeps the bleeding from coming through if you add a little bit too much paint. Now, even though that this paper is on the back of this fabric, it doesn't protect your surfaces 100%. So always make sure that you have something else that you can put underneath these blocks as you're painting to protect your surfaces. I love using these cutting boards. So to do this step, this is what we need. We're going to need a piece of fabric and we're going to need a piece of freezer paper. You need to decide how large you want your block to be. Now, for me, I always use an 8-inch block for these. A couple of reasons again why I use an 8-inch block. Number one, if I want to print it out on paper, I can because our paper is 8.5 inches wide. And number two, it's much less intimidating painting something on a smaller scale. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take my 8.5-inch squaring tool. I've made sure that I have a straight edge. And I'm just going to grab my squaring tool and I'm going to line up the 8-inch mark along that straight edge. And I'm just going to take my non-fabric rotary cutter and I'm going to cut up, stop, shift it up, line up this line again on the straight edge, cut across, and do the same thing here. Okay, so now I have an 8-inch strip of freezer paper that's ready to go. Next, I'm going to cut an 8-inch square out of this freezer paper. This is the size of the block that I want to have at the end. Now, this may not be the actual finished size of this block. I might want to cut this down to a 7-inch block or a 6.5-inch block when this is all said and done. 8 inches is a great place to start. Next, I'm going to grab my piece of fabric here and I am going to cut an 8-inch square out of this. I want my paper and my fabric to be the exact same sizes. Now let me take these over to the iron and I'll show you the last step. So I'm going to take my fabric and I'm going to turn this so that the pretty side is down. And then I'm going to take my freezer paper and I'm going to take the shiny side and I'm going to put that down so the paper side is up. I'm going to line up the paper with the fabric, take my iron, and slowly glide this across. You'll know that it's stuck on there when you pick it up and you actually see little dimples on the paper as well. Now, once you have your fabrics prepped, you're ready for painting. Now remember, leave the freezer paper attached. This helps with the paint bleed through. And also always protect your surface so you don't get paint on your work table. Now before you start a major project, I want you to do a test block using your paints and your fabrics. I want you to paint your test fabric any way you'd like. The paint pens make easy work of any block. With these special tips, you can get very, very precise. Or with the regular tip, great for writing messages. Just enjoy the process. Now, once you're done painting your block, I want you to let it dry completely. And once it's dry, this is where the testing comes into play. If you're enjoying this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, post a comment in the comment section below, and turn on that notification bell so you don't miss a single step in future videos. Love what you see? Don't forget to join me live on Twitch for interactive tutorials and real-time fun, Monday through Wednesday. You'll find my channel link in the description below. I want you to take this block off of the paper and I want you to wash this by hand in the sink using regular dishwashing liquid like Dawn or Joy. And I want you to really agitate it like it was in a washing machine. Okay, I want you to scrunch it and I want you to do all kinds of wonderful things. And then afterwards, I want you to soak it in some really, really hot water. And what this does is this is going to test any shrinking issues that may come up. Because this paint, when it's dry, you're going to feel it. It feels it's a little thicker there. And if this fabric is going to shrink, you want to make sure it doesn't create any kind of puckering issues or anything else that might come up with that. So you're just testing this block. You're just making one block and you're testing the crud out of it to make sure that it's going to be just the way you want it. Once you've washed it, you're going to wring out the excess and you're going to lay it flat to dry. Now, once it's dry, I want you to iron it. So I want you to take some scrap pieces of fabric here and I want you to put one on the bottom underneath it. And then I want you to take another one and I want you to put that one on the top. And then I want you to iron this. Now, what I'm doing here is, again, we're testing this, and I want to make sure that there is no paint that transfers onto the plate of the iron. So this is just protecting it a little bit. See if that worked. Nothing came off there. Nothing came off there. We're good. Now, once this is complete, I want you to look for excessive paint fading after the wash. I want you to look for puckering and maybe the block doesn't lay flat anymore due to shrinkage. And that usually typically would happen just around where the paint meets the fabric here, just on these edges. Just look for anything that is unsightly. Now, once all these steps have been completed and you're satisfied with the results, you can enjoy making lots more of these painted blocks. Create fun placemats or mug rugs with just one of the painted blocks. Add some accent fabrics around it to accentuate the vibrant colors. Or you could create beautiful lap quilts. What I would do if I was going to make lap quilts is I would alternate a painted block with a 4-patch and continue that throughout the entire quilt. Or you could use a 9-patch. Just use some kind of a pieced quilt block with your painted quilt blocks, and it would look lovely. You could also just simply sash all of your painted blocks and make them the focal point of your quilt. The possibilities are limited only by your imagination. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this video. I know I enjoyed making it. And thank you so much for watching. I appreciate each and every one of you, and I can't wait to see you next time. Until then, take care of yourselves and each other. Happy quilting. Bye, everyone.